Today we're going to do a comparison many of you have been asking for. We're going to put the Motorola Razr Fold up against the Honor Magic V5. We're going to look at these things closely and give you my review. Let's go. So as I start all my videos with a close-up comparison of the two of them, and when you look at them, they're very similar. Let's look at the size first. When you look at them and put them up against each other, you can see that the Honor Magic is completely lost. Okay, that is because the Motorola is a little bit longer. You could probably see that right there. Actually quite a bit taller, as you can see here. And as far as the width, I think they're probably both around the same width. Actually, the Honor looks a little bit wider, but we'll have to see once we get them booted up and turned on. Look at the hinges. The hinges are very similar. Does the Honor look a little thinner? It does. The Honor looks a little bit thinner, and it is, and we'll do that comparison here in just a moment. You can see that it is a little bit thinner there. And as far as the bumps go, you know, the Honor does have one of the largest bumps on cameras, but I think Motorola may have beat it there. It's really kind of hard to see them like this, but we'll do a tabletop comparison here in just a second. So the cameras are the biggest thing that sticks out on both of them. You know, it's personal preference on what design you like better. For me, I'm kind of liking the cleaner look here on the Motorola. People say it looks chunky, but for me, I think it looks really nice and clean versus this big old round thing right in the middle of the phone. However, what I do like about both of them is if you set them down, neither one of them likes to wobble. They are both solid. Okay. And of course, that wobble is always comparing it to the Samsung. Now, looking at the outside of these things, you know, they both have, of course, the volume button. Motorola splits it. I don't really care for that. I'd rather have a single button because, especially when it's the same size as the AI button, you see how you could easily get confused hitting the wrong button. Now, since I mentioned it, the Motorola does have the AI button, which you don't have with the Honor, which is fine with me because I never use these AI buttons. I can live without them. You know, if they're programmable, that's one thing, but this one's not really all that programmable. I would rather hit it and use it to open up Gemini versus the Motorola AI. Now, turning them over, you can see they both have the speakers on the same side. You got a speaker here and a speaker here, and of course, a SIM tray. They kind of switch sides on where their SIM trays are. And then on the opposite, the USB port, of course, right there, they're both just so narrow like they all are these days. And then on the opposite end, the speaker is on the same side. So we've got the same kind of stereo sound on both of them where the speakers are on the same side. A lot of people complain about that because if you're gaming or something like this, you might be, if you're holding it with the screen on the outside, you're going to block the ports. But if you hold it like this, they're both free. So there's pros and cons. But regardless, they both are the exact same way. Now, of course, this is kind of made out of what they call a vegan leather. And I kind of like the feel. It's got a really nice sound to it. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but scraping on it. I like it. It nice clean look versus the Honor has that nice brushed brass looking thing. You know, I like the color. I got it in the beginning because I like the color, but you know, it's unique. And so is the Motorola with this vegan leather. So it's really a personal opinion again on that type of look. But I tell you, going without a skin on either one of them or a case, the Motorola is more grippy, however you want to call it. I like it gripping better. And then, of course, when I'm holding it, I do like and gotten used to resting my finger right underneath the camera so it doesn't slide. You can't really do that with the Motorola because it is a curved ramp right here, as you can see. So my finger doesn't just sit there, it just kind of slips. But, you know, that's not a big deal. Now, real quickly, we're going to lay them down here and do my level test. If you haven't seen it already, you know, I do this all the time. And when I put it right down on top of them, you can see wherever the level is leaning, that is the thicker one. So you can see quite clearly the bubble is leaning towards the Razr. And when you take this close-up shot of it, you can see definitely it is taller. You know, it's quite a bit thicker. Couldn't notice that with the Oppo Find N6 or even the Z Fold 7, but it's quite noticeable here. Now, of course, once you stick it over to the cameras, let's see what happens here. Let's see who really wins. It's a lot closer of a call with the cameras. Now, if you saw the comparison with the Oppo, it was quite a bit higher than the Oppo. So the Oppo's thinner than all of them. But that is really close. And come back down here again, you can see it's pretty close to the same. Now, I know that type of test doesn't interest all of you, but many of you like to see that. So the thinness doesn't really mean anything. So let's look at the weight. On both of these, how do they feel first? They feel, yeah, you can feel just a little bit more weight in the Motorola, but I don't really feel enough of a weight difference, although it's tremendous. You've got 217 grams here on the Honor Magic V5 versus 243 on the Motorola. That's a huge difference. And as far as clunky, I don't think it looks clunky whatsoever. Now let's go ahead and boot up both of these bad boys and see who comes up first. Now, when I boot them up, I just hold the button till I feel the vibration, and then I know they're started. They actually vibrated at the almost the exact same time. It was like 1, 2, and they vibrated. So let's go ahead and look and see who's going to win this test. Now the Razr showed a screen first, but that doesn't really mean anything. So while they're booting up, the Honor Magic has the Snapdragon 8 Gen Elite, not the 5, just this plain Elite, and the Motorola has a Snapdragon Gen 5 chip. Does it make a difference? Taking a look at them, you can see, well, it looks like the Motorola booted up first, it completed, and then the Honor Magic V5. So here we have them side by side booted up, and you can see right there that the Motorola is a little bit taller than the Honor Magic V5. Something I'm going to cover that I didn't cover earlier is the button layout, and you can see here, and we'll turn these off, that the buttons are a little bit lower on the Honor Magic, and people like that because they feel that it's a lot easier to reach right there. You know, as you saw here, I don't seem to have that problem here on the reach. You just press the button, and there it is. You know, so I'm not quite sure why the complaint of it being too high. Now, the volume is quite a bit high, but the reason why I don't mind it is when you want to open up the phone, you got more area to reach and open it up. And speaking of opening up the phone, you can see here that because these are both curved, they both kind of open up easier than most. You know, they both have that roundedness. And because this one does have the roundedness, it does make it look like the Motorola is thinner. And it's a little stiffer. Even having this over a year, the Motorola still feels really stiff all the way through, which is good, I guess. And then we have the Motorola, and I don't know, I guess they're about the same. You know, it snaps into place a little better. And when it's opened, let's see here. When it's opened, is it flatter than the Motorola or than the Razr? When you look at them, which one is flatter? They both have that little bit of curve to them, so one doesn't sit flatter than the other. Now, since I have them on, let's look at those screens. You can see they are about the same as far as that crease. You know, there's not more crease in one than the other. I think they're pretty much right on par with one another as far as the crease goes. And when you look at the two screens, they're both beautiful. There's really no difference between them, so you can't base anything off of screens. And the refresh rate is really premium on both of them, and it's adjustable to help save the battery. Now, since I mentioned the battery, you've got a 5820 milliamp hour battery here versus a 6000 milliamp hour battery in the Motorola, which is right there equal to the Oppo Find N6. But 6000, 5820, not a whole lot of difference. What's that, 180 milliamps? So most likely not going to see a whole lot of difference. The difference is going to be drainage by the processor. And we'll see how that works here. At the start of this video, they were both at 100%. And as you can see right now, the Motorola is already at 98%, where the Honor Magic is still at 100%. That's interesting. So who conserves battery better? I don't know. We'll find out today because I'm doing this, and then I'm going to go out and do a photo shoot. So we will definitely be able to compare them. Since we've got them both here, let's go ahead and look at the customization. You can see here, file folders can be shaped any way you want on the Honor Magic. On the Motorola, you could just go large or small folders, which I really like. See here, you can take this and you can stretch it out a little more if I wanted to, you know, so I really like that kind of customization. But other than that, they're pretty basic and pretty similar. As far as your wallpaper goes, you can customize your wallpaper any way you want, but it is the same on the inside. Okay, so you cannot customize that differently like you do on the Samsung. So on both of these, the screen is the same on the inside as it is on the outside. Now that I have them both open, you can definitely see the difference in size. This is a 7.95 inch in diagonal screen, where this is an 8.1 inch, and you can definitely see the difference. Now the camera placement is right here in the center of the one side, it's here in the corner. My preference is in the corner because it moves out of the way when you do videos. We'll show you that here in just a moment. They both have SIM cards in them, and then they're on the T-Mobile 5G network. So let's go ahead and do a real quick SIM speed test. Way to do that is I got to turn off the Wi-Fi, and then I go to my speed test app. And I really like the fact that it does have the letters here on the side. That's something missing on the Motorola. So we'll let that speed, and I'll show you here what I mean. On here in the Motorola, if I want to go and find it, I just have to know my alphabet. You know, it doesn't quite go as quick. So I do like that better. And then the Oppo Find N has the best, where it only shows the letters that you've done. Okay, so now that one's about done. Let's go ahead and turn off Wi-Fi here. And the tower is about half a mile, 3/4 a mile from me. So it's not far off. So these should run right underneath the tower. They get up to about 1,000, or at least the Motorola does. It gets the highest speeds. Okay, there we go. We'll go ahead and run a test. You know, and I haven't found a problem with the Honor Magic on US T-Mobile towers at all. It's been great. And I've actually traveled from here to Texas with it with no problem on the road. It gets signals everywhere. But as you can see here, Motorola, as far as the download, it is a bit faster. It did the same thing on the Oppo Find N6, where it had faster download speeds, but the upload speeds was interesting how it is slower. So quite a bit slower. I mean, hardly usable with the upload speed, where you got a good usable upload speed here on the Honor Magic. Now, while I have them both open here, let's go ahead and look at the bezel. Look at the bezel. The bezel is so much thicker on the Honor. It's much thinner on the Motorola, which I really prefer. So that's really nice. And do I feel the bump? You know, yes, I feel the crease a lot more on the Honor. It could be because it's older, or it could be because of the design. I think Motorola, because they came into the game a little late, they were able to decrease that crease a little more than what you have on your typical phones. But that said, the crease isn't bad enough to even really compare them. Now let's go ahead and open up an app. We're going to open up YouTube. So let's go ahead and open up a video and take a look. As you can see, they both look very identical. They opened up just as quick as one another, and they look the same size, and I really like what they're doing here with the text. And let's go full screen here on both of them. See what happens. You can see here, they both put the text down below the video, which is great. And then you'll see when you turn the phones, like you see here, you get the ISO or the camera here. That's why I don't like that placement. I'd rather it be up here in the corner so it's tucked away and not in the view. Multitasking. Now it's time to look at multitasking between the two. They're both really great at multitasking. Now let's go ahead and open up a browser on both of them and try out this multitasking. As you see here, they both are great about it. Now on the Honor, what I really love is you just take this and you push it off to the side. It's just so easy, simple, opens it up, and then you can open up a second app. I mean, that's really cool. That's simple. Over here, not quite the same. It takes a 3-finger from the side, which now you're really smudging it, but it does open up. Okay. And then you can check another app. Now, I prefer those over some of the others, you know, where especially the Samsung, where you've got one side and it's just more of an app menu. And then on both of these, you can go ahead and swap, of course, and then you can change them to horizontal look. Now, on both of them, you do have a sidebar. This one you got to pull and hold for a moment before it comes out. I don't like that, but I do like that it has 2 rows, which is really cool. And then if I tap on a gallery, it'll open it up right here as a floating window. I can do the exact same thing. See, that's instant. I like that. It comes right out. I can do the exact same thing, and now I have a floater, and they both work the same way, except this one pops real easy, real quick, and goes to full screen. So that's about the furthest or the largest you can go as far as a folder. And then when you go all the way, it pushes it to the side, and then you can tap on it again, and then move it over here to the side if you wish to make it small. Okay, you can move it to the side, on the other side as well. Over here, you can actually, it has a lot more sizing capabilities. Well, no, it popped because I let go of it there. So maybe not. So let's see here. You can see how the change, you can see how it changed right there. Okay, you only got there and then it'll go full screen. So right there. So, well, I went full screen right there. So it's very similar here on both of them. You'll have limitations, but of course you can do this. And if you go up here to the side, what does it do? It actually put it as a third app. I did not mean to do that, but it gave it a third app. So that's one way to do a third app. And then over here, you can add a third app by coming down here to your app drawer. And then over here, you can do the same thing. You can open this up and you can grab a third app. But let's say I want to drag it over here. I can either use it as an open free form, or I can just add it right there. So these are very similar in that you can just swap back and forth. Okay, so I do like that. And then if you want to add another app, you can do that here just by tapping, and you can have another floater. And I can take this floater also and move it here. Can I move it here to the side? Okay, so it's right here on the side. Okay, and you can do the same thing over here. You just tap that and then minimize it. You can put up to 5 different ones on the sidebar there, and it'll save them. And then typically when you put the 6th one in, the first one you put in there disappears. And just to show you here, we'll open up another app. Let's open up my calendars here, and I could take that and minimize it too. And as you can see, they're stackable. And you can do the same thing over here. Let's just open up Gemini here, and let's not do that. Let's go ahead and snap on it, and let's minimize. Now they should be stacked. Okay, there they are. It stacks them a little bit different than what you see here. Here they're side by side. Here they're stacked like this. And you can do up to 5 on both of them, which gives you 3 open, 5 on the side. That's 8 altogether. Now here's another multitasking feature. On this one, if you drag this, it'll snap to what I call a 90-10, 95-5, whatever. But it actually has all 3 apps right here. You can see you can attach, you can touch either side, and it's a carousel of apps, which is really cool. So they're full screen and just a single tap. Over here, if I take this and let's see, let's take this one. And if I spread it, it's not allowing me to do that. What about this one? Can I spread one further? What'll happen? Let's see what happens. Okay, so you got this one here, this one here, this one here. I go, okay, so that one's full. Okay, so that's not too bad, but let's say I want to do all of them a fuller screen. See if I take that, no, that won't do it. I gotta go here and take this and stretch it out. Okay, now these two are full screen. Okay, now what happens if I do this? Can I take that one? It doesn't seem to want to pull that one. I think it's just gonna disappear maybe. Oh, no, there we go. So now they are all full screen, but notice you have to make a move to go across to go tap them. I mean, that's not quite as convenient as this one. You just tap and you carousel. So I like the carousel a whole lot better where you get the full apps. It's much more convenient. You don't have to move around to get to the next app. You don't even have to think about it. You just tap and go. So there you go, multitasking on both of them. I enjoy either one, but Motorola just a tad bit more. Now, as far as these screens, how they perform outside, and when you talk nits, you know, you've got 6,000 nits on the outside, 6,200 nits on the outside, and 6,000 on the inside screen. Oh, here it's 5,000 on the outside and inside. But I think those are just numbers because when you compare those to screens with lower nit ratings, they seem to actually perform better. But these are both usable and they're great outside. You can see here, if you're taking a video or something, you can see fine through both of them. Now, the bigger difference is on the inside, and with the Honor Magic, it does have that anti-reflective screen, which does help out just a little bit. But as you can see, this nit rating really doesn't really tell us a lot, especially when I do a video here that is HDR and should be the highest nits. They're not all that great. Now let's talk about performance. The way I rate performance is how do they perform under real world stress? And for me, that means editing and processing, rendering videos. And I do that with this app called Snapshot. And I've done it on all of them. And I did a test of all of them together. And you can check that video out if you want to. But I'm going to go ahead and show you individual tests because the Honor Magic V5 has been my king of processing, you know, and speed and performance simply because of that Snapdragon Elite chip. The Gen 5 Elite chips, for some reason, throttle everything. So even the newer phones, they all have lost through the Honor Magic V5. So let's go ahead and do this quick test here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to export them both in 4K, as you can see here. And I do have the Honor set to performance, and I'll show you that real quick here under battery. Okay, I have performance set to the performance, the highest rated here. Okay, so it should be a whole lot faster with its performance. And then Motorola, it doesn't have a high performance setting. So it's just what it is. So here we go. We got them both set. I'm going to go ahead and hit export, and then I'll hit the timer and we'll see them. And I'll probably speed through it here. Export, timer, and we'll see what's going on. And we'll go ahead and let them both run and we'll see who outperforms who. Now we'll say while this performance test is going, the Honor Magic did outperform everything. I mean, even bar phones up until recently. And why I say that, and I'm kind of spoiling it here, is because for some reason, Honor has not come up with any updates. I mean, Samsung with their Z Fold updated and really optimized its performance. Even the Oppo Find N6 updated and optimized its performance. So now with that group test, the Honor Magic V4 is in 4th place. And as you can see, the new #1 leader is the Motorola Fold, as you can see here in this earlier clip from the other video. But going back to where they're at now, let's see what we got. We're at 63 or 64%, 86%. You can see here that the Motorola is finishing much faster. So the reason why is just not overheating. It's performing really well, really smooth. So you can see in that test, the Motorola outperformed the Honor Magic. That was actually kind of shocking for me. I thought for sure the Honor was going to hold its first place position, but they need to update it, I guess, so it can be optimized for performance. And one more thing we need to talk about, and that is the S Pen or the Stylus pen. We call it S Pen because that's what Samsung. The Stylus, the pen, the pencil. They took a different approach to it, where they went with a smaller pen with Motorola, which I kind of like. You know, some people don't care for the small pen, but because it's so small, it has to have this charging case. It's got a built-in battery that'll give you 24 hours of continuous use of the pen. So the pen itself will work for about 3 to 4 hours without charging. And as you can see, it works here on the right phone. If I put it over here, it works just fine. Okay, works great. And then if you take out the pin for the Motorola, you can see here, quite a bit different big difference. You know, it's a lot bigger. I mean, it's about the size of 3 of these in the thickness, but it is a standard size, and it has that little pin clip so you can put it in your pocket if you're one that has pockets. So that's kind of neat. But in order to charge this, which is okay, I guess, is you have to use the USB-C port right here on top, and you can charge it, which is kind of nice because as long as you have your cord to charge your phone, you can charge your pin. This, you got to have your case with you in order to charge the pin if it goes out. And you can see right here that the pin charges with the USB-C. So how does this work on Motorola? I guess you got to turn it on first. Once you turn it on, then it'll work. You can see the pin stylus right there, magic portal. And then when you open them both up, you can use them on the inside on both of them. Okay, so that's not something you could do on anything else except for the Oppo Find N6. It also does have a pin, and it's more the smaller size of the pin, which is, I think, a good thing if they make a case for this thing. Now, as I've done with my other comparison videos, I will do a photo and video shootout between the two of them. For now, I'm going to show you a couple of photos and then a video so you can see how they look and how they compare. But in the full video, I'm going to go dig deep in the pixels and how they work both daytime and nighttime. So at this point, I want to turn it back to you. What do you think? I want to hear from you. Are these phones really close? I think they are. Do you have a favorite as of yet? Has anybody else tried these two phones? And what do you think? Leave your thoughts down there in the comments. I'll give you my final opinion and wrap up and feelings on these two phones at the end of the camera test video. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more content covering these phones and more. So until next time, have a wonderful day and God bless.